So I would appreciate if you all can keep your cameras open for interaction. And we are privileged to have esteemed a lineup of speakers who are experts in their fields, and they're ready to share their insights and learning with us. And we're looking forward to hear from them. Acha, I just want you one question that you can write in the chat is, in your perspective, what does coaching mean to you? What brought you to this field? Okay, and I'll be interacting with you in the chat because we have limited time, so we want to give more time to our speakers, right? If you have any query, any feedback, we'll take the questions at the end, but you can give the feedback after every speaker session. You can write down your reflections of what you learned, what you think about. So I'll be interacting with you in the chat boxes. Okay. Yeah. I'll stop sharing my screen. Okay. I'm so excited because ICF is coming to Pakistan, and it was my dream. I was like thinking, why can't we have a chapter in Pakistan? And it was just a dream, and I couldn't take any action because I was busy with my own stuff. But thanks to Umar, he took all the action. He took all the initiatives to make this happen. And I'm so thankful for Umar to, take this initiative. And let's hear it from Umar. Umar, let me introduce Umar. Umar is the CEO of Abundance Coaching, and he is a PCC coach. He has 25 years of experience in heading HR of various industries. He also remained involved in organizational development and business improvement projects of the United Nations, USAID, and UNICEF. And today, Omar is going to talk about coaching and its impact on our lives. So let's hear it from Omar. Thank you, Omar.
Thank you very much, Shabeen, for an amazing start for this webinar and introduction. You're quite generous into introductions. And Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Especially thanks to all the speakers who agreed on my call to join in with us for this webinar. And I'm really honored and privileged to have good speakers from I think from international speakers. In fact, they are here, they are around the world, and especially the participants also who registered for this webinar and are available today. And it is indeed I think you can keep on admitting people. Do you have that?
No, Omar, I think I've transferred the hosting to you. You'd have to transfer it back to me or something.
Okay. Just hold on. Then, so we can keep on doing this and you are Yasser Wahid here?
Adnan Hussain.
Hussain. Okay.
I should be right on top.
Okay, here you go.
All right, great.
Great. So thank you very much again. So I can now start again my word. So it is of course so far for me it is about 1 year old journey that we were on this, but it is indeed the first ever event in Pakistan for ICF coaches, and I hope it will be creating an enabling environment for more ICF credential coaches coming from Pakistan, which is of course is very much required. It will create enabling environment for more such events to happen in Pakistan, from Pakistan. And of course, one thing which Shabeen has also mentioned, which Bakhtiar Saab also mentioned earlier, and for which Fakiha keep on reminding me and is very much interested to do that, is to create first ever Pakistan chapter of ICF from Pakistan, of course. Though it's a long way from here onwards too, but I think this is one very small step by ICF coaches in Pakistan, but it will be a giant leap forward by ICF community. And it may prove to be a moon landing day for ICF in Pakistan. So we hope that it will translate quickly into whatever our dreams are to bring ICF as a chapter in Pakistan. I will keep my talk short and quick, and will share my perspective regarding the impact of coaching in our lives. Uh, as humans, we cannot stay alienated from the events that happen around us. It is our social, our political, our economic conditions determine our realities and perspectives. And within these realities and perspectives, we struggle to find uh, our way towards creating our own self image and space for ourselves. If we are unable to create that space for ourselves, we may get disillusioned by within the realm of that space that is hugely available around us. As ICF credential coaches, all those who are ICF credential coaches, they understand that once we are when we study that and learn from ICF, and we have to exhibit 8 core competencies. Earlier, there were about 11 core competencies, and then it turned out to be they were shortened and more comprehensive. More comprehensive competencies were made, and now there are 8 core competencies. I cannot repeat all those here in this short presentation, but I would like to focus and mention very briefly one of those core competencies, which I feel has created an impact on myself first and on my clients. And of course, I would like to believe that it has created an impact for the people around me also. And that one core competency is maintain presence. Although by the words of it, it's just 2 words, maintain presence, but it helps to create an unquestionable impact on our lives, on the people around us, and on our clients or coaches also. By maintaining the presence, we exhibit a stature of ourselves that helps us to be fully conscious and present with the person that is in front of us. And by doing this, and how we do this, we remain fully conscious and present with the person, is by remaining open, flexible, grounded, and interestingly vulnerable also, but at the same time confident. When we do this, in fact, we are doing an amazing job of this, creating space for others, for someone. How does it feel? Just say this word again in your mind, creating space for someone. How does it feel that once you have control or you have power and you have the authority at that time to create space for someone? What it means, in fact, is that you are stepping back from your reality or your perspective, and you are in fact juggling in the space of someone else, and you are juggling with someone else's reality and someone other's perspective. This someone else can be anyone. It can be your coachee, which we call as ICF. In ICF, we call client. It can be your spouse, it can be your child, it can be your colleague, your neighbor, your subordinate, your boss, anyone. Once we are able to create that space and remain open, flexible, grounded, vulnerable, but confident, we'll be able to see that impact that we are able to create on the people around us. And this impact can be a new reality or a different perspective. And if we need to remain open and flexible to embrace this new reality and a different perspective that is coming from someone else. Let me leave you at the end with this thought that maintaining presence is not only one of the core competencies that ICF coaches has to exhibit. It is, in fact, a lifestyle for coaches who are ICF credential holders. And it is, in fact, a lifestyle for anyone who is either a coach or not a coach or someone who is in front of us, to create a space and maintain presence at that time when you are there. And once you do that, it is, I believe, in my perspective, it is very handy and very rewarding for the person who is creating that space for someone else. So thank you very much for this time, and over to you, Shabin.
Thank you so much, Umar. It was wonderful. And this is also one of my favorite competencies, maintaining presence. And it is so important to be grounded, to be vulnerable. So thank you so much for sharing your insights with us. We'll be taking the questions at the end, and you may give some feedbacks or your reflections, the participants, what you think about this core competencies and how important it is.
And you can write your questions also. Perhaps Shabin has also mentioned that we can take at the end as well. And during the time, you can share your questions in the chat box.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's move forward. So our next speaker is Fakia Imran. Fakia is a PCC executive and EI coach with over 25 years of experience in the training and coaching industry. She is also an NLP practitioner and consultant for EQI 2.0. Fakia is also the director and senior consultant at Carnelian. And it's my honor to have her here because she was also my mentor in Train the Trainer that I took 2 years back from Carnelian. I really learned a lot from Fakia. And Fakia will be talking about a very interesting topic, that is anatomy of a coach. So over to you, Fakia.
Thank you very much, Shabin. Good afternoon, everyone. Assalamu alaikum. And very excited to be here. I see a lot of familiar faces and at the same time, a lot of new faces as well. And the challenge with me is that I have 10 to 11 minutes. And I was like, okay, 10 to 11, 12 minutes is where, I kind of usually warm up and all that. So anyways, I'm not going to take, much of the time in introduction and all, and I'll quickly share my screen. So what is primarily the topic which I have today and which I would like to explore with you is anatomy of a coach. Now, interestingly, my journey, and Shabin has been very generous, in her words and all that. So my journey with coaching, or my love affair with coaching, started around 10, 11 years back. And by then I had, I was a trainer and I had quite a lot of experience, and I was overconfident that, okay, fine, coaching is going to be something like exactly like training and all. Having said that, I was in for a surprise, and it was a very different world. And I think so it really pushed me out of my comfort zone and invited me to look at things in a little different way. So what I'm going to do today is, when I discuss the anatomy of a coach, what are the little things which makes a huge impact? Those are a couple of things which we are going to discuss. And what I see a lot of coaches over here, both experienced as well as aspiring. So each one of us is kind of familiar with the ICF competencies. So I'm not going to go there. ICF competencies are in a way primarily the qualifying factor. It's like the entry pass to the realm or to the world of coaching, which are very essential. And I think so we are very familiar with that. Umar has also spoken about one of the competencies over there. What we're going to do is in next 10 minutes, we'll change our lens a little bit and we'll look at things perhaps in a little different way. So being a coach or a trainer, I had the privilege to interact with lots of different coaches, some amazing coaches. And what I'm going to share with you is what I learned from them. The interesting part is when it comes to good and great, from the difference between good and bad is like a day and night. It's very easy to tell, what is good and what is bad. But when it comes to differentiating greatness from goodness, that becomes a little tricky. And it's in the subtleties, it's in the intricacies, it's in the small things. And we wonder that what is it? It's even hard to articulate. So what I'm sharing with you is what I learned from some of my mentors, what I've experienced by interacting with a few coaches. You may differ, and I would really like to, if you have any comments, any questions, I would really like to listen to that as well. So the most essential thing, the first, I believe the very foundation when we talk about coaching, and I'm a movie buff. So in my trainings and in my different, interactions with participants, there are usually, lots of clips from different movies. And Kung Fu Panda, if you've seen it, I believe it's an amazing movie. There's so many messages in it. I use it for the leadership programs as well. And there is this scene between those of you who are familiar with it and the others who are not. I'll just give a little context over here. So we see two characters. There is one character, which is Shifu, which is like the mentor, which is the dragon warrior coach, you can say, or trainer, you can say, and then his mentor over there. And then there is a dialogue going on between them where there is the mentor wants that there is a panda, and panda is a very lazy person, really into eating and all that. And he wants Shifu to train panda as the dragon warrior. And then there is this dialogue going on that how can panda be the dragon warrior? He doesn't fit, he doesn't have those competencies. He doesn't have those traits. How can he be? And he's confused. Shifu is totally confused there. And that's where the most iconic statement dialogue comes in, where he says, the mentor, he says, yes, he can be the dragon warrior if you believe in him. So when we talk about coaching, as a coach, perhaps one of the things which is fundamental for us, on which we'll build all the like the entire edifice and everything, that is the belief in ourselves as a coach, in our own ability, the belief also in the coaching process. I mean, I remember having a discussion with somebody once, and that was a coach himself, where he had doubts about does it work or not. So the sanctity of the process as a coach, it's very important for us to to fully believe in that. And most importantly, what is coaching about? It is about translating that potential into performance or potential into reality. If as a coach, I have doubts, then I will be no way in a position to facilitate this journey of growth. I'll give you an example. Long time back when I started coaching, I was once approached by one of my colleagues and asked me to coach another colleague of mine. And then there was such a strong perception. And my struggle at that time was that can I coach or can I not coach? If we have, why we say believe, because what is important is that being human, there is an unconscious bias which is attached with us. We will never be free of unconscious bias. It could be gender, it could be cultural, it could be, even in terms of, economic, socioeconomic status as well. It could be gender to anything. When we say believe, it means that we need to be aware, one, of that unconscious bias. The awareness is the first step. If we are aware, we'll be able to address it as well. But if I do not myself believe that this person is going to actually the goals which he or she is talking about at this time, has the ability or the competency to realize or to turn those goals into reality, then I believe it's much better to kind of separate the way rather than continuing the relationship, because that is not justice to self as well as, and most importantly, to the coachee. So the first thing is the belief and being aware of that unconscious bias, which may be somewhere there. We'll never be free of it, but at least once we are aware, then we will be able to handle it, navigate it, manage it in a more effective manner. So this is the first thing. The second thing which I want to discuss over here, and I remember this was the slide, and this is one of my favorite slides. That was the first slide which I developed once I came back from my coaching certification and all that. What do we do as coaches? What is our job? Our job is, we glorify it, but it's very simple in that way. If we talk about still water, still water has a lot of energy, and that energy is hidden, and that's why it's known as potential energy. What is our job as a coach is to turn that potential energy into kinetic energy by just dropping, with just a simple drop of water. That drop of water, which is going to turn that potential energy into kinetic, is actually the powerful, insightful question. Now, why am I sharing this with you? Because that's a trap which I myself have experienced. We being present with the coachee when we are in that dialogue. And I remember when I initially started, one of the pressures I have in my head at that time, that I have to ask the most insightful or the best question. And I remember when I came back, there was this long list of questions which you can kind of sift through and check out which is the best. So while I was having conversations, and I'm telling you, I mean, this was I've been guilty of. So while I'm having the conversation, I'm also in my head running, that, okay, what could be the next question? What could be the next question? And that's a recipe for disaster. And this is how I practically fell and experienced. One of the things which has helped over a period of time is being present. When we say present, being present physically, emotionally, intellectually with the coachee. And when you're present in the discussion, you don't even have to think about the question. The question just reveals itself. I remember one of the terms when I was doing my training, and one of the terms which was shared with me at that time, which was kind of new for me, was listening with eyes and ears. And I was like, okay, I understand how you listen with ears. I mean, that's what we've been doing since childhood. How do we listen with eyes? And that's the skill of a coach. When there is a shift in the energy, when the body is saying something and the verbal, the words are not matching with that, that's what a coach needs to do. And for that, the coach needs to be present in the discussion wholeheartedly. Another important factor over here is, and this is where I think, so in the first or the session when we do the goal setting or the discovery, there are these huge goals or milestones, and there's a lot of excitement within the coachee as well to go for those goals. But if the skill of a coach is actually to facilitate the coachee or to navigate in a way that those goals could be translated into actionable items as well. So that with every meeting, with every session, there is a small step which is bringing him or her closer to the goal or the destination. And that can only be possible if we are fully, wholeheartedly present in the discussion. So that's the second one. The first one is the belief, and the second one is the ability to disconnect with the external noise and connect with the coachee at that time, and then everything else goes in the background, because that's the time the ethics, the morality, the skill as a coach demands that we are there with that person fully present. And after that, another thing which I'm going to, there's just 2 more slides. I'm not going to take much of a time, but the next slide which I have and I'm going to share with you, it's very close to my heart. It's very close to my heart in terms of as coaches, what is our job? Our job is to facilitate people. We urge people, we encourage them to step out of the comfort zone. There are lots of, there's growth, there is learning, there is self-development. We ask them to get out of the comfort zone and stretch beyond those boundaries and all. But the question over here is, do I do it as a coach myself? I remember one of my mentors, when I started training long time back. And I asked him at that time that, how come there are some people who have a lot of conviction while others aren't? So what is the magic of conviction? So in my head, I understand, when you have knowledge, it will add to conviction. The confidence comes from knowledge, articulation, how you express yourself. If you have the art of articulation and all that also helps. But what my coach said, and that was amazing. I mean, I never thought of it that way. He said the conviction is the alignment between intent and action. So if you actually, whatever you're saying, or whatever your intent is, even in a training or in a coaching, if it is not aligned with what you do in your life, then there's no point. Then there will be no conviction. As Umar just a little while back mentioned, that coaching is not just a profession. It is way more than that. So as a coach, I think so one of the things which we need to ask ourselves, be it experienced, be it aspiring, what is my development plan? How do I push myself out of the comfort zone? How do I stretch my boundaries? How do I develop myself? How about my knowledge bandwidth? Is it the same today as it was yesterday, or is it different? Am I growing with every single day? Am I, when I talk about my toolkit, is that toolkit expanding? Am I adding new things to it or not? So that is extremely important, because I believe the best thing about knowledge, I remember there was a question which was asked me a long time back, I think in one of the sessions, that do trainings and coaching and all these things can help when we get to know so many tools. And the moment we walk out of the room, more than 80% of it is forgotten already, and which is right. But it is just, if I just, use a little analogy, and if I just ask you to maybe play with me for a little while, we all have store in our house, and in our store there is a whole lot of things which are there. And if I ask you to maybe name 10 things, you will not remember, because there are things which are dumped over there. Having said that, if I ask you now that how many of you have have a basket in your store, or I can say maybe have a suitcase in your store, instantly you can connect, and you can, you'll go, visually you'll go there and you're like, okay, it's there. This is the same thing with learning as well. This is the same thing with us as coaches. When we expand the learning basket, we may not be using it all at the same time, but at least we have lots of things at our disposal which would emerge when the need arises. And that's why it's very important. And in the end, for the learning, and this I would say, because I had some interaction, so I thought that I'll share with you, be it as a coach, I think so, and not only as a coach, as a lifelong learner, to have that to be a learner, we need to have that intellectual humility and flexibility. And for that, what is extremely important is to have a dash of humility. We are not identified. The credentials are very important. The certifications are very important. The skill set is very important. The qualifications are very important, because these are the entry passes and all that. Having said that, the identification, how do we identify ourselves, is not by the pieces of paper. It's primarily by the character which we carry. And, that humility actually means that I'm open, as Umar has mentioned a little while back, that, we need to be confident, but the vulnerable at the same time, to be open as well. To be a learner, humility means, I mean, a lot of people can say this is all mushy talk. I mean, how does it even translate into the professional world? I tell you, it is not just a soft talk. Humility means me knowing the fact that I'm not the expert, me knowing the fact that I'm not the final word, me knowing the fact that, yes, I can be wrong, and I yet have to go a long way, or I yet have to learn a lot. So me being open to or embrace learning opportunities, and, kind of upskilling myself. So this is where, so when we talk about, so for me and an coach, anatomy of a coach, if I just kind of summarize that, it starts with the belief in yourself, in the coachee, in his potential. Number two, being fully present with the coachee. And number three, don't ask the coachee to do which we are not doing. if we are not developing ourselves, if we are not stretching beyond the boundaries, then there will never be conviction or that magic when we will deal with them. In the end, I don't know, Shabeen, do I have 2-3 minutes? Can I tell a story or shall I just sign off?
Yes, you can take 2
Okay.
minutes.
All right, I'm trying to just stay in the time. I'll just share a little story over here as a coach. I think so. What our job is. So there, primarily the story goes once upon a time kind of thing. So this is primarily an experiment. There was a microbiologist and he ran an experiment. And what he did, that he created a huge aquarium. And in that aquarium, he put a shark. And then in the same aquarium where the shark was, he put a lot of small fish. Now, shark being a predator, the moment was small fish was thrown into water, I mean, it's instinctively, she swam to this little fish and just, like, of course, hunt and eat and all that. Here comes the second stage of the experiment. What he did in the second stage, that he divided, that huge aquarium was divided into 2 sections with the invisible, with the transparent wall, so that, you could see on both sides. On one side, there was a shark. And on other side, this microbiologist would put fish in, the small fish. Now, the moment shark would see small fish floating in water, would swim towards it. Now, since there is a wall, so she would swim, but would hit against the wall and would never reach the fish. So what the shark did, maybe 100 times, or maybe, I don't know, 50, 60 countless efforts she made to try to catch the fish, but she realized that she cannot catch the fish because there is the wall which she cannot ever cross. So there came a time when the microbiologist, when he would even put the fish in the tank, the shark was like, okay, fine. It's like, I mean, it's not for me. Why even bother? Why even swim towards that side? Because I'm not even going to get that fish. So she even stopped swimming towards that side. Now here is the magic. The magic is there came a time when that experimenter removed the wall. Remove the wall and still put fish on that side. And imagine there is no wall, but the shark didn't even bother to swim towards that side because the wall from that aquarium was disappeared, but was built in the head of that shark. We as coaches, our only job is to break those barriers and break those walls. Thank you very much.
Thank you
Back
so
to
much.
you, Shabeen.
Thank you so much, Vakya. What a wonderful way you explained the anatomy of a coach. And this story sums it all. The 3 points that you mentioned, like to have the self-belief and maintaining the presence and have the humility is so important for a coach. So I think there was a comment by Khalid Siraj. Thanks, Vakya, for a nice 3-point summary of your presentation. Super helpful.
Thank you. Thank you. Truly appreciate that. But if there are any questions, yes, Siraj, I've seen you now. Thank you.
Okay, so we should move on to our next speaker without wasting more time. So our next speaker is Mr. Bakhtiar Khwaja. Mr. Bakhtiar is a PCC executive coach, mentor coach, facilitator, and a keynote speaker. He has worked in the field of coaching, leadership development, and personal transformation. He is the CEO and executive coach of Coaching Results. He has an experience of 18 years in the field of coaching. He had worked for 30 years in the corporate sector and leadership roles in Egypt, UK, Colombia, Hong Kong, and Pakistan. And I think he was one of the earliest, I think the first one to be an ICF coach in Pakistan. So Mr. Bakhtiar will be talking about executive coaching. Yes, over to you, Mr. Bakhtiar.
Thank you, Shabeen, and thank you everyone else for being here. I'm so encouraged and so glad that we have so many participants. What's the number at the moment? How many participants are there?
24.
24, great. Thank you, Fakya. It was a great presentation and very nice visuals as well to go with them. And I think you were describing a situation where you were talking to the coachee and you in your head were going the number of questions that you wanted to ask. But you get engaged with the coachee and then you don't need to see that. In that situation, I think I've experienced many times, and I called it, in the literature, they also call it a dancing in the moment. When you are with the client and you are totally one with the client, and he's talking, you're listening, you are talking less, of course, and he's listening. And then there comes a moment where you really become one, and time passes very quickly. That's the time, that's the occasion where coaching is at its best, where the client, without listening to you, without hearing from you, understand intrinsically where he is, where he wants to be, and what he needs to do. Obviously, that is where we want to be. Umar, thank you for refreshing, creating space for someone else. That I think is the essence of coaching, where you as a coach, I'm sure all of you, when you underwent training, there is a transformation within you when you are learning, when you're learning how to coach. And I also experienced that once. Okay, now about executive coaching. Let me ask you a question at the outset. All of you who have had experience in organizations with jobs, have you ever encountered a bad boss? In one of your assignments, did you have a bad boss? Although I don't like the term bad boss because of two reasons. Boss is a bad term, but boss is the incorrect term. And the word bad doesn't really describe, there's no person who is bad. There always is some good within that person. However, a boss who is not respecting you, who is not caring for you, who is not giving credit when it's due, who is sometimes bad-mouthing people. Did you encounter such a boss? I have during my career 2 or 3 times. Fortunately, we made peace with each other. But I'm sure you have heard the term, when an employee leaves an organization, they don't leave the organization, they leave a boss. That is the sad impact of a boss, of a supervisor, of a senior leader, when he's not treating his people right. When I say his, I mean his or her. And then people might leave, they will be frustrated, their performance will drop, and instead of going up with the organization, their performance comes down. So this is where an executive coach is called for by the organization, that there is some problem. We have a senior leader who knows his job, who is contributing to the bottom line, and who's been with us, a loyal senior executive. I have actually seen one of those. When I was invited, let me relate that story to you. I was invited for coaching a very senior leader, very popular person, great communication skills, great understanding of the business. And everybody loved him because he would help them in whatever their needs were. So there came up a position when this big company wanted to spin off a small entity, and that entity needed a CEO. And this person was being tipped for that CEO position. But months rolled by and he was not being appointed. So the HR must have talked to the head of the organization. They invited me. There's something, we don't know what, that he's not being promoted. So we had our early sessions. After 2 or 3, 4 sessions, we managed to pinpoint it was a behavioral issue essentially, because when we coach senior leaders, their technical skills and their knowledge of their where and their knowledge of the market, it doesn't need to be enhanced because he or she knows that. So usually it is a small behavioral issue which leads to interpersonal relationship problems, which leads to team mismanagement, and then the team is dissatisfied, And then the same feeling travels upward, and the whole management team also doesn't know what to do about that. So we pinpointed the issue and we started working on that. When I say we, he started working on that. Of course, I was helping him out. And before the coaching series was over, one day I heard the news that he has been promoted. So executive coaching is no magic. You know, there's a hype about executive coaching, but we are dealing with human beings. We are dealing with the senior level people. They are also people, you know, they have a heart. And a big boss is having a personality in his office. When he goes back home, of course, he becomes the second boss, because we know who the real boss in the home is. And then with the children, he's so nice and polite and loving. So he has all that in him. So at the business level, he needs to discover, he needs to become aware. What are the issues? What are his behavioral tics, which may spoil the atmosphere, which may lead his team to be dysfunctional at some stage. So that's what executive coaching does. Now, what are the benefits of executive coaching? You can just Google it, or you can go to ChatGPT and get a long list. We all know that. You know, an executive coach would coach a senior leader, make him empower him, and with that empowerment follows the team empowerment also, because the team is totally directly affected also, and all around the whole division, sometimes the whole company, just because of empowerment of one leader, the whole company can be transformed. Empowerment, and then of course productivity goes through the roof, and interpersonal relations all around improve. So the whole ball game changes as transformation takes root. And there are a number of other benefits. I don't need to go into them, but let me go on to how can one become an executive coach? The coaches who are there with us, I'm sure many of you are doing executive coaching. There is no special qualification or requirement. All you need is coach training. If you want ICF credential, of course, you need to satisfy all the requirement. And I don't think till date, is there a special requirement for executive coaches? Although I know some companies are offering workshops and certificate courses for executive coaches. So basically, we are dealing with somebody who is working in an organization. And as we know, executive coaching usually, at least in Pakistan, I think in most countries, is sponsored by the organization. Okay, so this is one typical scenario where one issues comes to light. I have experienced that the executive is being nominated for coaching by the organization. The organization is going to spend money, but when you have your first meeting and second and third, then you discover that the person is not really keen for coaching. You're sort of being forced into it. And when I discussed with the company what are the qualifications of a client, of their employee to be coached, I said only one, and that is keenness, commitment to developing themselves further. And if that keenness or commitment is not there, I'm sorry, I'll not be able to help. In fact, I remember one incident in my career where it was a banking company, and they sent me 4 people, and the three of them really great coaches, and they must have benefited, but one of them wasn't really interested. The first day, the first session, he came half an hour late. Oh, this, that, and the other. There were many excuses. So that's okay, no problem. But what do you need to do next time? So you reach there at time. We talked about that. Second time, he just missed it. I was outstation. I couldn't come back in time. Said, okay. Third time, he was late. I said, well, I think sufficient time has passed now. The session is almost over. Let's talk about it later. And I talked to their HR. I'm sorry, I will not be able to help this gentleman. And then I discovered that this was a habit. And the HR shared with me, when you send him to training courses, he takes lunch and comes back. That's the thing. So commitment by the executive, by the senior leader is compulsory. And as we all know, that knowledge is all around us. It used to be Google, now it is AI. So we can get whatever information and knowledge we need. But the ability to imbibe that knowledge, to consolidate that knowledge, as Fakia said, to make it actionable for oneself, is an ability which not many people may have. This is where a coach comes into the picture. Now, who can become a coach, an executive coach? I've hinted earlier. I think the only, not a requirement, the only benefit will be if you have some organizational experience. Because I think there are some coaches, some young coaches who have not worked in an organization before. I'm not saying that it's compulsory. They must still do great executive coaching. But if you have had corporate experience yourself, the hiring company, the people who are going to give sponsorships, they will have greater comfort that this person knows what goes on in the organization. And when they talk to our employee, they will be able to understand his or her situation much clearly, as compared to somebody who has not had experience like that. I'm not in the habit of speaking very much, because the best thing is when we come to question answer session. And if there are some questions which are coming up, let me see if I have some notes in there. Yes, I do want to talk about something else on executive coaching. If I can share screen, I have just one text slide, Shabin. Or
Yes, I
Yes,
have
you
given
can share.
the-
You can share the screen. Participants can share the screen directly.
okay, let me just move this away, and I'll look at that. So it came down. Yeah. So I am inside Zoom, and I ask for sharing screen. And this is it. Can you see this? If you want to learn more about executive coaching, can you see the shared screen?
We could, it went away.
Uh-oh, let me see what happened. Yeah, but it is.
Yeah, we can see it now.
Okay. Mary Beth O'Neill is the author, Executive Coaching with Backbone and Heart. A great book. I acquired it about 10 years ago, read it, and I keep referring to it. And she is talking about what is so special about executive coaching. I'll just, the two things that she talks about, it just goes away, doesn't it?
Just put the up arrow up.
Put an up arrow.
Yes. Yeah.
But it has stopped.
You can keep it here. We can see that.
Okay. So backbone is knowing and clearly stating your position, whether it's popular or not. Now, Mary Beth O'Neill says that when we are coaching executives, some of them are, very, very big people. It could be a chairman, it could be a CEO. And they may be older, much older than you are, because we now have young coaches. And if the coach is 40 years of age and the executive is 70 years of age, there is some kind of a barrier. And in our culture, we respect the age, and we may become a little timid. So she says, backbone is knowing and clearly stating your position. As a coach, we do not bend down. If there is a feedback which needs to be given, it needs to be given in clear and no uncertain terms. Sir, I'm curious. Let me ask you a question. Then you raise a question and you confront. Of course, being polite and respectful all the time. Yet, with a backbone, with your, strength intact as a coach, we are confident, and when we know when we are in the right. Well, we don't know when we are in the right, but when we know what is for the benefit of this client, we need to state our position very clearly, whether it's popular or not. Sometimes the client may react, and then you very respectfully, you can explain that this is why I'm telling you, because I think you may not be aware what is going on with your communication, what's going on with your thinking, what's going on with the way you behave. So I very respectfully want to point out that when you go home, please look at it, please think about it, please reflect on it, and we'll talk about it next time. So that's the first one, she says. Be firm, yet polite. Second is coaching with backbone, and then coaching with heart. Heart is staying engaged in the relationship and reaching out, even when that relationship is mired in conflict. Sometimes there is overt or covert kind of a conflict going on between the coach and client. We shouldn't call it a conflict. We can call it a disagreement. We can call it a difference of opinion. And sometimes the coach can become disgusted. What is he saying? But then you give that feedback, so reflect on what you're saying, and then still have compassion. This is what she explains later in her book. But when you are doing coaching with the backbone and the heart, backbone is firmness and heart is compassion. Do realize that that gentleman or lady is also a human being. And there are things going on in the organizations all the time. At his higher position, he may be confronting many challenges. It can be competition, it can be market, it can be the environment, it can be a country like Pakistan, where situation is like it is today, and they are undergoing a lot of pressure themselves. So we have compassion, excuse me, and deal with our interaction with politeness, with compassion, and gradually bringing them out of the way they are thinking. Okay, so that's where I stop. And thank you very much, Shabin. Thank you very much, everybody, for
Thank you
listening.
so much for an insightful session. There are some questions. We will address them later at the end. So everyone is saying great insights, and they love the way how you explained the executive coaching. Thank you so much, sir.
Thanks a lot.
You need to stop the screen share.
I need to stop the screen share. How do I do that now?
Yeah, yeah. Now.
Is it gone or?
No, it's still there. There must be on top. Stop.
You can stop my sharing. Can you do that?
You got to share screen and stop here.
Yeah,
Done.
now it's done.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. So let's move on to our next speaker. We have with us Mr. Iftikhar Nadeem, and he's the chairman, ICF Global Board for Coaching in Organization. He is an MCC leadership coach. He is also the director of organizational excellence of King Fahd University of Petroleum and Minerals. He is associated with the university for over 30 years. And today he's going to talk about the impact of coaching on organization culture. And so over to you, Mr. Iftikhar. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. You can see my screen, all of you? Not yet?
No, you can.
Okay, yes, 1 second. Okay now? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Now we can.
So hello, Assalamu alaikum, everyone. And it's a great pleasure and honor to be here and talk to you and share some knowledge and data also, specifically the data, which I'm very thankful to ICF because I obtained data from them, which is very fresh, and not many people in the world has seen this data yet. So you are very privileged in that sense. Okay. So organizations, obviously, in ICF, we have, coaching an organization as a family organization and separate, FO they call, which they do research. I have great honor to be there for last 3 years, and access to the global best practices of HR coaching in many organizations around the world. So when the organization are changing or the requirements in organizations are changing, so organizations are also responding to it, what is changing. So some of the traits, for example, the modern leaders has to be more resilient, that's what COVID and other, has told us, authentic, inclusive, etc. And the workplace is changing also, that's bringing new challenges, the hybrid workplace, which we did not have for a long time, the hybrid workplace, but now that's reality. Multi-generational, or multicultural workplaces. So organizations are global. In my own organization, we have people from 60 countries, if that's represents different cultures. So, and we have very, very young people who are entering, millennials and Gen Z people. And we have a professor who's 80 years old, So we have maybe 5, 6 generations more than baby boomers. So all that pressure and the economy, the well-being, the purpose-driven, the service leader, etc. So all this is where organizations are. We believe coaching is one of the best things they can do, or they are doing, in fact. So, like improving organizational bench strength, employee performance, supporting or accelerating change initiatives. Change is where a lot of organizations are going to coaching to have a smooth change happen. So productivity, all of those benefit which organizations are going through. So this is a study done by ICF and HCI, which is Human Capital Institute in the US. So, and we have been studying this at ICF for many years, since 2014. So this definition of coaching culture is also slowly coming up, refining. It's not perfect or exact science yet, but it's getting there, I believe. And so far, what we know from our surveys, that a strong coaching culture has 5 or more coaching culture factors, if you like. So one of them is that employee value coaching. So our senior leaders value coaching. As you know, coaching has been mainly for executives or senior people. It's expensive. The ROI is less on lower level. But now that's changing. The platform-based coaching and other is changing that landscape. And a lot of organizations want to have coaching for all employees, open to all employees. And then so many around us are happening. And so other factor could be leader and coaches receive coach specific training. So that piece is becoming very, very important. That manager as a coach, not a full-time coach, but they have skills. They become coach-like manager, coach-like manager. I think that's the biggest thing, lever, which if you pull, is changing the culture in the organization. Just having few, external coaches or internal coaches is less effective than having a manager who become like a coach. And then obviously, if they have a budget, dedicated budget for coaching, or all employees have equal opportunity to receive coaching. And we are also looking those who are leveraging three coaching modalities. That means internal coaching, external coaching, and employee manager as a coach also. That's the third modality. So benefit, obviously, like all coaching, benefits, these are standard more or less. But leadership development at the senior level or leaders, employee engagement and commitment, which is very important, engagement, commitment together, better relations, improve team functioning, because team coaching is also picking up the steam in organizations, which is, not one-to-one, but whether it's a whole executive team or some other teams like project teams, or wherever there's a common goal, or departmental, as a whole department as a team is also picking up a lot of steam these days. So in the survey, we saw currently who are using, the manager leader is using coaching skills is 85, and 35% of organizations responding use all three modalities, whether external, internal, or manager, so all three are being used. But so future also looks bright if you see, who is going to use in future. Still, obviously, senior level, 81% are using, but that is, others are picking up, even entry level. That's very interesting because Gen Z, we found, and millennials, they're appreciating or even demanding coaching at time, in organizations. I know an organization here, even in Saudi, who are now telling the new, fresh graduates that we are going to assign coach to you, and there will be accelerated growth, and there will be so quality of work, life, etc. It's selling, people are using as a best employer kind of attraction, to these people. And then location, hybrid, office-based, virtual, remote, all of those are being used. And so what initiatives? Yeah, upskilling, well-being, DEI, all of those are strongly picking up where coaching is being used at all levels, not only executive coaching. And but if you look at specifically coaching for external coaches, leadership development still remains on the top, and then communication skills, decision-making, succession planning, transitions, when people move to new job roles or you become CEO first time, all of that is and external coaches are, as we all know, are more, more utilized for senior people, So internal coaches are more in the mid-level, lower level, because of price, because of confidentiality also is a big thing. When there's internal coaches, senior managers don't want to talk to internal coaches. So that's the reason they go to external, and they think that's important. And then manager leader using coaching skills for communication, for leadership development strategy, improving teamwork, reducing turnover to retain people is still very strong. So we have many case studies. Many of these people, they are in ICF boards and or ICF members. ICF is not only now having individual members, but also organizational members. So like my own organization here, or next door Saudi Aramco, ADNOC, Emirates Airline, all of them are member as an organization, not only individual coaches over there. So we asked them what is going on. So AstraZeneca, which is also now our board member, and Heather, who's representing, is sharing this data with us, latest data, that what are the results they're getting, cost savings or other impact they're having on mindset or opportunities or skills, etc. So, and similarly, we have Intel, who is one of the leader, in using skills. Tech is one of the big area. I have been coaching Google leaders for more than 2 years now myself. So this is one of the biggest area, Microsoft, Tech, Facebook, they're all using a lot of coaches, TCS, even Tata Consultancy Services, etc. So same as SAP, and others, they're having measurable impact, or measurable savings or value they're creating out of these things. Now, how to implement, obviously every organization has its own. So there is a new kind of, I would say, parallel business emerging now. And that's a coaching consultant. It's not coach, because when you go to organization to make them member, you're not talking to coaches. You're talking to CEO, you're talking to HR heads, L&D directors. So they ask, so customer is different. That customer is looking for, how can my organization adopt a coaching excellence model, for example? So that becomes consulting. It's not, you're not coaching them, you're consulting with them. So that's a new area, and ICF is now considering to, in fact, come up with some kind of excellence model where people will be certified to assess that model, use that model. So that's a whole new business emerging. Maybe in a few years, you will start seeing. So obviously the vision, business case, champions are important for any change. As we all know, champions are very important. The ROI and all of that is within ICF, we have developed a toolkit that helps organizations to move to this cultural shift if they want to make. And there's a regional coaching culture council for Middle East. Currently I chair that council for 2 years now, where we have leading organizations are member and we share information with each other. We provide access to a lot of ICF speaker bureau. Member pricing is obviously there's this discount over there, and other monthly, benefits, connection, one-to-one, one-to-many, etc. So this is in a nutshell how coaching is making a really a measurable impact and a transformative impact in organizations. And it's not stopping there, it's evolving, it's new. ICF coaching and organization is only there for maybe 4 or 5 years. It's a new thing, but it's growing pretty fast. Thank you so much. When there's a Q&A, maybe I will join later and appreciate. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Mr. Iftikhar. Thank you for sharing this data with us. First time data you're sharing with us, and it's very insightful. Thank you so much for that. We'll be taking the question and answers at the end. I'll share the questions with you at the end. Let's move on to our next speaker. We have Dana Barto. She is a PCC coach, mentor coach, and she's also a professional development coach at Zayed University. She has experience of 10 years in coaching, in addition to 30 years of corporate experience in training, consulting, and personal branding. She has worked with diverse industries in Australia, Jordan, West Bank, Switzerland, and UAE. And Dana is going to talk about optimizing health and well-being through coaching. So over to you, Dana. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Shabeen. Can everyone hear me well? Yes? Great.
Yes.
Right. Thank you. So before I get to what is health and well-being coaching, I wanted to share a little story, something from my own experience and what really got me into this in the first place. So about 15 years ago, I lost my mom to pancreatic cancer, and I felt totally helpless watching as she ran out of options with conventional medicine. And of course, as you know, grieving definitely takes a toll on your health, especially if you have a really busy lifestyle. I was an executive back then in corporate, and it was really difficult. And I started knowing that I was totally out of balance when I started experiencing things like panic attacks, back pain, and a host of other issues. So of course, it took doctors a few tries before they were able to diagnose me with something. And back then it was an autoimmune disease called Hashimoto's. And of course, Hashimoto's, if you know it, it's something that doesn't really have a cure. It's an autoimmune disease. And that's when I thought, maybe I need to live with this for the rest of my life. But almost, because I think intuition is a miraculous thing. I had a feeling that there was a solution out there for me, and I started educating myself, took a complete lifestyle change, and my symptoms started to dissipate slowly, one by one. And I was so excited to feel that way that I really wanted to understand what was behind it. And that's when I got into coaching. So it was really clear for me that it's not just me who suffers from something like this. I think many executives like me, experience health issues, stress, burnout, and so many things, as a result of their busy and very exhausting lifestyles. So once I learned how powerful, from coaching, how powerful our thoughts can be, I discovered that stress and negative emotions were contributing greatly to my symptoms. And eventually, of course, my symptoms disappeared. And I witnessed firsthand how our bodies have a huge power to heal in different ways, especially with the right mindset. So next, I was a coach back then. I was a PCC back then, but my next step was to enroll in a PhD program in integrative medicine. And that's where I am today. So today my work is dedicated to helping other people to live really a life full of energy and vitality and purpose, and of course, free from chronic disease. So this is my little story. I will share my screen now, and I will talk a little bit more about what health and well-being coaching is. Okay. So everyone can see my screen? Yeah, okay. So I really discovered that the struggle to balance ambition and self-care is real, right? So people these days, present day, have a lot of high stress jobs. And on top of that, we have really poor lifestyle habits, right? No exercise, bad sleeping habits, etc. And of course, environmental impacts us in a huge way. What surround us, fumes from cars, etc. And then we also have relationship struggles and personal relationship, but also work relationships. All of these really have a huge impact on us, and of course spiritual and awareness, and all of that kind of tips the rope to the left. So you're kind of out of balance most of the time, and you don't know why. And that's where health and well-being coaching comes in. So we are trying to help people find balance through agility to adapt, capability to create inner balance, and ability to thrive. All right. So, you know, a lot of people ask me why health and well-being coaching? Why did I get into that in the first place? And my story is like one reason why I did, but there are other things. So we know that when you help someone coach one-on-one, you can change a lot of things for them. But when it's comprehensively, you know, across many organizations, or you know, in this present day, there's a lot of gaps that we notice in the healthcare system. One of them is health and well-being coaching really closes the gap between doctor and patient. So as you know, like now when we go see a doctor, the time that we spend, you know, visiting the doctor is not more than 5 minutes. And that time is not really enough to understand what is going on in the person, because a lot of our health issues are really related to stress and also lifestyle. So the second thing is encouragement through tough and difficult times, and helping people implement lifestyle changes. We also help patients with chronic diseases manage their chronic diseases, because as we know, coaching is about creating new beliefs and also new habits for people, you know, helping them create new habits. And imagine someone with a chronic disease who is eating a lot of sugar, you know, with diabetes, creating a new habit through coaching. That's very powerful. Of course, health and well-being coaching is really important for prevention. So we want to prevent, to even, you know, get into stress, you know, being able to manage the stress, being able to understand what stress is, and preventing ourselves to go down that road. Emotional support is another one, and stress management, especially in corporations now. Yes, we have a lot of leadership coaching, we have a lot of executive coaching, and these are very impactful in helping that person really move through their career, optimizing their career. But also health and well-being coaching is becoming more and more important in organizations, because it's really someone who is totally stressed and burned out is not going to be able to approach any new role, or even go for a managerial position, or even be able to perform in those positions. So we really need to go to the root cause and understand the person and understand where they're coming from and how we can help them. So I always say that, there's a lot of niches in coaching, executive, leadership, career, etc. But really it all comes down to life coaching, because if you're not able to work with a person, like I think who said, I think someone said, people are people, right? So even if it's a CEO or a minister or a leader, he's still a person or she's still a person. And of course, establishing healthy lifestyles. So a lot of people ask me, what is the difference? Because there's sometimes there's like a misunderstanding of what coaching is, and and where do you draw the line between health and well-being coaching and health practitioners. Because a coach is not a health practitioner, but definitely a health practitioner can become a coach. So, and what I answer to that is that when it comes to health, licensed health practitioners, it's always a reflective process. So they come looking at the problem rather than focusing on prospects like we do in coaching. It's always problem oriented. So where is the problem? Where is the health issue? How can I diagnose it, right? Whereas in coaching, it's more goal oriented. So we're looking at what we're trying to achieve, the goal here. And of course, it's never diagnostics. We, as a health and well-being coach, you never can diagnose unless you're licensed as well. With health practitioners, it's more like reducing the systems, managing the systems. With health coaching is getting to the root cause, and I'll explain in a moment when we get to the model how we do that. And then it's definitely in conventional medicine, it's short term because the symptoms come back, sometimes worse than before, and then you need more medication, more procedures. With coaching, it's more longer term because you're actually changing the person from the inside out. And finally, in health practitioners, they're the authority, really. You go to a doctor and the doctor tells you what to do. Whereas with coaching, the client is whole and resourceful and able to resolve their own issues. So as I said, a health and well-being coach is not a doctor, is not a nurse, is not a therapist, but all of these people can be health and well-being coaches. And imagine what the world would be like, if a doctor was also a health and well-being coach. I mean, that would be an amazing place to be, I guess. So there's many definitions to coaching, but I usually use the ICF definition for coaching, which is coaching is partnering with a client in a thought-provoking and creative process that inspires them to maximize their personal and professional potential. This is what ICF defines as coaching. So when it comes to health and well-being coaching, it's very similar, yet it's a little different. So with health and well-being coaching, is the use of thought-provoking as well, conversations. Sometimes there's clinical interventions, especially if the coach is also a licensed professional, and strategies to actively and safely engage clients or patients in lifestyle and behavior change. And this is the key word here, lifestyle and behavior change. So a health and well-being coach is always like a personal health cheerleader, guiding the person, helping them achieve long-term lifestyle changes, which will improve their physical, mental, and also well-being and performance. Okay, so just to get to a model that I have created and I use in my own practice with my clients. There are many models, when it comes to coaching, and ICF, of course, has its own competencies, and we use that all the time. What I use is I incorporate, of course, the ICF competencies, but I established this model because I saw how effective it can be. It's not a one-session model. It's more like a long-term model. So the first thing is creating awareness. And awareness is a powerful thing. So a lot of clients come to me not knowing where the health issue is coming from. And with them, I usually use something very simple we use in coaching, which is the wheel of life, right? Very simple tool. It's very powerful though, because we look at different aspects of health. As we know, health is multidimensional, it's not one way. And we kind of support the client to understand where is the root cause of the problem. So this is the first step. Of course, there's other assessments that I do with my clients, and it really helps them to create that awareness. The second step is the need for change, right? So a client will never change, no matter how much the doctor tells them that if they don't stop smoking, they're going to develop heart disease. They will never change unless there was a really good reason to change. And this is where coaching comes in, right? And then the need for change is where we go and help the client really understand and dig deeper. What is causing, what is the need for them? Is it something, and I use there a number of tools, but one that I love is the 7 levels deep, because that really takes the client to the really root cause of the need for change, to create that awareness. Is what is the impelling reason for them to change? The third step is reflection, looking at belief systems, right? And in health, there are a lot of false belief systems that we have. We know that a lot of people from studies, and we know about the placebo effect, for example, right? Everybody knows about that. Pharmaceutical companies understand this very well, that when you give a person a sugar pill, they sometimes get better and their symptoms disappear. So belief systems is a huge one. And this is what coaching reflects on, belief system and root causes. The fourth step is options or plan, supporting the client in develop their option or plan. And the fifth step is establishing habits, right? Because you can do all of the steps before, but unless the client is able to create new habits and stick to them, then nothing happens, right? And of course, finally, it's results and feedback. So in a nutshell, this is what I do. This is what I teach also in coach training, and it's a very powerful and impactful model when done right. So of course, when we do when we teach this, we go into the nitty-gritty details, but overall, this is what it's all about. So I'll be happy to take some questions later on, but this is where you can reach me if you like. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dana. Thank you for sharing your story and for sharing your model. It was so insightful. I love the way you differentiated between a health coach and a health practitioner. Thank you for clarifying that. A lot of people are appreciating, they say the model is really going to be helpful for them. Okay, so now we have with us Mr. Haitham Shaheen. He is a PCC coach. He is the ICF Regional Director for MENA and Asia Pacific region. He holds a BSc degree in aeronautical engineering. He worked in the Royal Jordanian Air Force for 19 years before retiring as a colonel. And in 2016, Haitham took a leap in the coaching career and he joined ICF as a marketing development specialist in 2017. And Haitham is going to talk about ICF membership benefits. So over to you, Haitham.
Thank you, Shabeen. I just want to clarify one thing. I don't have an ICF credential. I'm sorry if I misprinted that in my bio. I'm still trying to find the time to get my ACC credentials as soon as possible, but it's difficult to get that. Before I start my presentation about the membership benefits of ICF, I would like really to extend sincere gratitude and thanks to Umar Reza, Fakiha, and Shabeen, who have collaborated with me over the past few months to get this webinar on the go. And I would like to extend sincere appreciation for the knowledge and wisdom and the wealth of information our speakers have shared in their respective fields, be it Dr. Iftikhar Nadeem or Sir Bakhtiar Khawaja or Dana Barto, Fakiha Umran, and Umar. Thank you all so much. And without further ado, I would like to share my screen. Let me find my way first, and I will try to accommodate the presentation in the allotted time of 10 minutes. I have really enjoyed listening, as I have said, to the wisdom and knowledge of all our speakers. And interestingly, each coach, experienced coach who has presented today has gained that knowledge and wisdom through starting their coaching journey with ICF, practicing the coaching profession. And I'm assuming that that knowledge has accumulated over the years practicing the core competencies of ICF, demonstrating the ICF code of ethics and core values in their professional practices. That would not have been done, I'm sure, without being members of the largest coaching body in the world, which is the International Coaching Federation. Just for those of you who may not know enough about the ICF, ICF was established back in 1995, and it started off with a handful of people, coaches at that time in North America, but then it propagated and extended to Latin America, then crossed the Atlantic to Europe, Western Europe, Central Europe, Eastern Europe, and found its way to Middle East, North Africa, and Asia Pacific. As we stand today, we have 143 chapters in more than 99 countries. And our total count of active members in ICF are 59,000 plus in 166 countries and territories. Out of those 59,000 members, we have 27,000 ACC credential coaches, 22,000 PCC coaches, and almost 2,230 MCC coaches. All our coaches demonstrate the highest level of professional coaching, embodying the ICF core competencies, code of ethics, and core values. And they practice their profession in different niches, as we have heard: health and well-being, leadership coaching, executive coaching, business coaching, career coaching, and the list goes on. What I'm trying to demonstrate over here is the value of being an ICF member. One of the first and foremost thing that members have reported in ICF surveys that the ICF conducts on quarterly and annual basis is, they become a part of a network, a local network, a regional network, and a global network of professional coaches, where a community is established and they can exchange success stories, best practices, learn from each other, the stories that they can share with others in order to grow their professional aspects of professional coaches. And as they develop this, they get the experience and the ability to work on the regional, global level. As we have heard Dr. Iftikhar Nadeem, he is the current chair of the Coaching in Organization Family Organization. They can partner with colleagues for being evaluators, being committee members, and they represent their local chapter in global forums. They bring the challenges to like-minded people, leaders, who would partner with them to overcome the challenges that are faced in that local community. I have been discussing with Umar, Shabin, and Fakiha the possibility, the prospects of setting up a chapter in Pakistan where members of ICF can come together and create their own vision as a chapter inspired by the ICF global mission and vision. By setting up a chapter or by being members of the global coaching community, you would have diverse and rich experience coming from all over the world, where you could learn from each other, discuss challenges, and be part of the bigger global community. Absolutely, it is hands down, when you join ICF as a member, you get a global recognition as you will be representing the gold standard of coaching as defined by ICF, which has been shared by Dana. You can be recognized as a credentialed coach holding one of 4 credentials that ICF has developed over the years, whether it's ACC, PCC, MCC, and most recently, ICF has announced and regulated the advanced certified team coaching for a number of our coaches worldwide who specialize in team coaching. And coaches need data. We have seen in the presentation of Dr. Iftikhar Nadeem the latest numbers from the study which ICF has conducted with Human Capital Institute about coaching in organization. It is always useful to look at the data and convince and sell the coaching profession to our clients and our coachees, not because coaching works, which it does, but then we have to provide enough data, scientific data, whether it's from our qualitative research, quantitative research, that coaching works. And by being a member of ICF, you have access to a full repository of researches that talk about consumer awareness, change management initiatives, and other researches that are done by ICF, either with PricewaterhouseCoopers or Human Capital Institutes. And you have credibility and advocacy. I think earlier in our webinar, we have heard some of our speakers saying that there are people out there who call themselves coaches, self-appointed coaches. And these people don't have the credibility. They don't have the professional development. They don't have the sound, rigorous course and material that allows them really to step into an area of confidentiality and trust with clients, with executives, so that they partner with them in order to be the best version of themselves. ICF membership gives you this credibility and gives you this advocacy over other coaching bodies which do not share the same vision. These were some of the intangible benefits of ICF membership. I would like to share with you over here some of the tangible benefits which members can really feel. Members of ICF have discounted application fees for credentialing and credentialing renewals. Members of ICF get discounts, whereas non-ICF members pay the full fee for credential application or credential renewals. Being a member of ICF also gives you discounted registration for conferences and for events by ICF Global, like Converge, like Advance. Last year, we had the ICF Converge in Orlando, and we had almost 1,100 participants from worldwide. The feedback that we got was, it was a fantastic conference filled with numerous hours of continued coach education, listening to renowned speakers, international speakers that made their investment worthwhile to be in that conference. One of the things that ICF offers free for its members is communities of practice. And the communities of practice are communities, virtual communities that are managed and run by subject matter experts who are volunteers from ICF worldwide. And we have 8 communities of practice right now. Our members can log in our events and learning portal and choose which community is best suited for their professional development. They also have discounted fees for the Global Business Workshop Development Series, which have started February this year. And this has been, again, by surveys that we have sent out to our members, a very, very lucrative and beneficial series that actually gives tidbits and roadmaps for coaches who have started their career, how to develop their business, what is trending out there in the world, how can they make the best use of their membership fee so that they would start their own coaching business and choose the niche that is most convenient for them. You also have the opportunity to register yourself free of charge for the Credential Coach Finder, where it would list your profile out there for the world so that clients, leaders, executives who are in search of credential holders from ICF can log into that portal and get in touch with you to partner with you for their coaching needs. If you are a mentor coach, you can register yourself as a mentor coach for a reduced nominal fee of $50, and you will be mentoring a coach or a colleague of yours to have them make the best use of their coaching journey. For those of you who are seeking a credential, we have a peer-to-peer coaching registry where you would be able to be matched with a peer who is in the same level of your coaching journey, and those hours you would practice, you would experience coaching on both sides, being a coach and being a coachee at the same on different settings, and those hours will be counted towards your coaching application for credential. And then we have ICF used to have a seasonal membership where the membership fee was only for a period of time, prorated from the month of April to March every year. And as of the past 2 years, ICF has changed their membership cycle to be anniversary based. In other words, any member who joins ICF will make use of the full benefits of ICF over a 12 months calendar period instead of a prorated period. And last but not least, any ICF member, as long as they have an active membership, they can create their own free website that they can use for their marketing purposes, for sharing their thoughts, for publishing their work, or for directing potential clients to check their achievements and their credentials, stories that they have in the past, and testimonials from other clients. And this membership benefit is free of charge for all ICF members. Also, we have the ICF events platform where members can post their own events during the ICW, which is the International Coaching Week. We have podcasts that members can listen to. We have articles that members can read or contribute to. And we have books that members can publish free of charge on the events platform website. And one thing that we talked about learning and development, because that is the first thing that coaches should do as soon as they finish their cohort from the ICF-accredited program. And we have a learning portal that members can log in to with their username and password, and they can choose any of those learning opportunities which are available online, whether it's the business development series, the communities of practice, and there are additional learning offerings that one can choose from. And that is, in a nutshell, some of the many benefits that ICF Global Membership offers to members. I would like to really thank once again all the organizers behind these webinars and the speakers for sharing their wisdom and knowledge. And with that, I hand over the floor back to Shabin. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Haitham, for explaining us about all the benefits that we are going to have if we are an ICF member. Thank you so much for sharing your insight. Now I would request if you can open your mic, since we have few people and it's open for question and answers. We are open to take any feedback, question. Please feel free to, ask any questions that you want to ask our speakers.
Yeah, I think it is wonderful, in fact, to have all the speakers with us. And I have one question, perhaps, if I could start with. I was intrigued by what Mr. Haitham was referring to. It's one of the free website benefit that ICF has. Can you, if you could have a little more information on that? How is that?
Well, absolutely, Umar. Actually, this has been launched, I think, 2 years back. Any ICF member can create their own website free of charge by using the hyperlink which was there. I will drop it for you all in the chat box. And it is a very simple, it's a very, very, very simple platform where it's very user-friendly. It has been used almost by 2,000 of our members already. We have been publicizing this with our membership newsletter. So it's basically a membership benefit. Members are advised to just log into that portal, okay? And once you do that, you could follow the instructions. It comes with a guide that you can use so that you follow that guide step by step. And as long as you are a member of ICF Global, we will be hosting that website for you free of charge. And there is a grace period of almost 2 months after the drop-off date of your membership renewal that the website will be up and running. But unfortunately, if your membership expires or terminates, then you will not be able to access your website any longer. But it's free of charge. It has been really useful, and it comes with a user guide that you could follow step by step to create whatever content. It comes with different languages. It comes with different fonts, palettes, backgrounds. You can create your own YouTube to that. You could link your LinkedIn profile to that. So it's a very versatile and useful membership benefit.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah.
Now that's awesome. I wish I knew it 2 years back. I spent so much money on building my website.
Absolutely. And Shabin, because we understand that building your own website is not only costly in some countries, like in the US, it may cost you up to $800. And to sustain this, you have to pay admin fees all the time. For ICF, it's going to be free of charge as long as you maintain your global membership with ICF.
Great.
So we had some questions, but I think the ones who asked that question have already left. And so any feedback, anything else, the ones who are here, you want to add on?
Yeah, I think we should, this program is also recorded, and after a few days, we will be uploading it on our YouTube channel also. And if there is no other question, I personally, from my side, I thank all the speakers, Fakiha, Dana, Dr. Iftikhar, Haitham, and Bakhtiar Saab, who had to leave early. And thank you, Shabin, for moderating the session very well. And
Thank you so much. But before we leave, I want to take a picture since it's the first ICF webinar. So I want to take a screenshot. Everyone, please, if you can open the camera.
everyone should smile.
Yeah, so okay. Okay, you can do this, smile and do this, yes.
Okay, we can smile.